Alright, welcome back. So I was going to do some fishing today, but we are getting on and off thunderstorms that seem to be pretty bad. Hail, lightning, all kinds of wind, so it's just not going to happen today. So when I first got this kayak, I got the Bonafide Ss127. I looked for a bunch of videos online, how people mounted their fish finders to the transducers to the pod, where they mounted, the actual fish finder unit, and people did all kinds of different things. So I'll show you the way I did it on mine. Let me spin you around. All right, so what I decided to go was the Garmin Striker 4 with the GPS. This is one of the, there's a few different versions of this one. It was 119 bucks. Came with transducer, your cables, and the display unit right here. So on the Bonafide, it comes with this whole sonar part that pops in and out. We'll get to that in a minute. So I was going back and forth with mounting the display unit on the track. I like the way that looks there, but I wanted this to be all in one unit. If I'm going to different tournaments and hotels, that kind of thing, I could pop this whole thing out, one shot, and bring it right into the hotel room or in my truck, even if it's a local thing, just run it into a deli kind of deal. So I decided to mount it up top. To do that, this is your transducer cable. So it runs up from underneath. This little adapter plug, I guess, came with it. So I utilized it just to run the cord up and in, and then drilled a hole to have my power and transducer cables come out into the head, and just picked up a small little O-ring kit at Lowe's, like 35 cents for that, so keep it clean. And then this was just some spare rod cover I had just to go over the power lines and just keep it a little more neat. So I'll flip it over and I will show you how I mounted it to the underneath. So this is how I did it with this. I'll put a picture in now. And basically I had to buy those brackets from Lowe's. The mount that came with this, it's round, and obviously this is flat on the bottom, so there was no good way to mount that. I saw people using pieces of wood, and it's, I don't know, too expensive of a kayak to be strapping pieces of wood to the bottom. And I want it to stick up as close as possible. This way it doesn't stick out from underneath the bottom of the boat too much. This doesn't have the side imaging or any of that, so it doesn't need to be sticking down there. So I used those brackets and just bent them in a vise till I got the right dimensions and curve that I wanted. Screwed them in, used a ton of marine sealant, and left this just a little play in it, so if it did rub something, it doesn't just catch and rip right off. It'll at least pull the transducer back or up and be a little stronger. So in these brackets I put in like the form of a T. Otherwise they were swiveling too much, so that's what I did with that. And like I said, hold on here. So like I said, you can grab it all one unit, completely contained. The batteries and everything are right in here. Slip it down, lock it in there, lock it in one more latch, and now it's on there. You can pull this head off if you wanted, unplug it, all that. So on the inside, just flip these latches, and you have all the cable that they give you. I just coiled it up and zip tied it into a nice little roll. Battery I got was just a cheap little Everstart battery. Some guys use that Aqua battery, which is like 120 bucks, that system. This was 17. and it's worked fine. I've had this out a bunch of times, you know, 6-7 hour long tournaments. And it's never went dead on me. I've never had any powering up issues, so I'll just keep using it. And you know, you can see in the size of my hand, it's a small little battery, so it's really not that much weight to it. And with that all the way up, that still leaves you some room in here. Throw your cell phone, your keys. Be selective. You don't really want anything touching both terminals at the same time. But I'll throw gloves or, you know, really anything down in there that you want. So that's pretty much it. This isn't going to be a video on how to use the fish finder. It's more of the install process. After getting the brackets and how I wanted, that was probably the longest part. Put it all together, probably an hour and a half, not rushing, just kind of, you know, hanging out, having fun, making it the way you want. So I did kick it back far enough. So if I put like a 4 or 5 inch long gear track, I can mount something else there, whether it be moving the cup holder. Saw some people, which I do like, they mount a magnetic strip right here and just kept their pliers. I have one over here on the shed. You know, it'll hold stuff like that. So you take your normal pliers or anything that'd be metal, I guess. You got a little strip to lay it there so it's not floating around here. So if you have any questions, guess put them in the comments. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks.